Hi, and welcome to another podcast. I'm Fettouhi, and let's talk games. And I'm back. It's been a couple of weeks, and I actually passed the last certification that I was busy with, so that's great. And we're close to the holidays, so I have some spare time now, and that's great. I'm actually been gaming a lot more, actually daily, with my PS4, and it's an awesome console so far. If you haven't listened to the last podcast, I definitely recommend you checking it out and going into detail of a little bit of the PlayStation 4 and what I've been having to my life since this last podcast, but the podcast before, which probably was a year ago. I actually think it was a year ago. Anyways, what I've been up to is playing games. Been pretty much focused on Knack and Killzone, which I completed. And after that, the problem was I completed it in a week, pretty much. So it was pretty sad to see that, or see my brand new PlayStation 4, just sitting there. So what I did was I went out and bought digitally Need for Speed, and I've been playing that. I'm still not done with it. It's a great game. It's long and it has some great online features, and also has some poor online features. But the online aspect of the game, where you're in a session with other people driving around doing stuff, is pretty cool, and that's a part of the game. You can't do it offline, but it's pretty much online as soon as you log in. You don't really actually see it. You only see that you probably will have to log in with an EA account, which is an Origin account, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's pretty seamlessly, but you will notice if you have a poor connection, or if you are on a server it's probably the server that has the problem, or if somebody in your system has a poor connection, you will get migrated over to another server. And I've seen that happen a couple of times. Not only once during each session, pretty much. Doesn't happen often, at least not for me. So that happens, and you pretty much start where you left off. The only thing is that you will, if you're in a speeding chase or a getaway, depending on if you're a cop or if you're a racer, you will start from zero. You will be on a standstill, so that's pretty annoying. But also I can see why, because you will crash, because the system, it takes some time for the system to get into the mode and actually show you the screen and all that. So there are some issues there. The biggest issue with Need for Speed so far, at least, is the installation. The game, you should think that buying a digitally game and getting it down in like 10-20 minutes is not a big game for some reason, and I probably know why, but it takes a small download for a megabyte and then a 4 gigabyte download. And then you have the game, and you install it. If you're installing it, it takes normally a couple of minutes, and you can start playing. After that, you can play 2 sessions. If you're starting the game off first, you will have a trial session of playing a cop and playing a racer. It's called Rivals because you're actually, if you choose the racing side, you're racing against other racers and getting chased by the cops. If you're a cop, you're trying to bust the racers. So that's also the multiplayer aspect in it. But it is pretty fun. But the problem is, you do this trial one, the whole getting to know the game, and you try each out, and it takes like 10-20 minutes if you really don't care that much. You can't drive around a lot. It doesn't have a time session. You just need to complete some stuff. And I think they expect you to drive and fiddle around with stuff. I didn't do that. I just wanted, I'll check it out, doing good. And after that, the game actually installs. And that installation takes a shitload of time. And that is because the normal types of games, if you look at Knack and Shadowfall, Killzone, the problem is that it's a 40 gigabyte installation, so it's massive. It's a pure Blu-ray copy, pretty much, and then you have the Blu-ray disc. So it's running from the disc drive. So if you look at you downloading 4 gigabytes, it's probably compressed the shit out of it. So it has to unpack and all that. It takes a shitload of time. I've never seen it. It's slower than the PlayStation 3, but it's just a massive install. I actually just, when I started installing, just like, well, this is taking a long time. Well, just, you can do other stuff, not with the PlayStation 4, but I just went ahead and watched a movie, and that's also a problem with you can't do other stuff. You can't, hit the PlayStation button with that. That was just annoying. I was just going back to it. I don't know why, but I think it's because of, I think it's poorly packed with the game. I don't expect this to be an issue with every game. It could be that the problem is that the digital downloads, if you buy it digitally, it's probably compressed because the installation from a disc is much faster, incredibly fast. It doesn't take a couple of minutes. You have the game installed and all that. And it's 40 gigs installed. It's incredibly fast. So it's definitely an improvement. I was just mystified that this was something that didn't work that I would the way that I expected to. So be a lookout for that. I have seen people buying the PlayStation 4 actually saying they will go fully digitally with this console from a PlayStation 3, and I can understand that. I would do it sometimes. For instance, it was just like Need for Speed Rivals was just fucking expensive everywhere. So I just thought, well, I don't want to go out and buy it for the same price I can buy it digitally, and it's not like that I'm getting anything more with it. I can play it online. I have the online pass automatically. So I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to buy it, just download it. I can do it at a Sunday evening without actually having it, because we over here don't have a 24-hour store that actually has open and sells games. We actually have to. It's a compared to the U.S. It's horrible over here when you come in and actually you want to buy something and it's late at night and you can't buy shit. But anyways, it's just sidestepping here. But anyways, bought it digitally. I would probably buy the disc in most cases, especially if it's either cheaper or it's the same price, and and the store's not closed, and I'm desperate to actually buying a game because I don't have anything to play. So that's again, there are some things here taking place, especially when you think about the digital distribution. Amazon has codes for the PlayStation 4 that you can buy from the Amazon store directly. They have a store and placement in the PlayStation store also for the UK. Since Amazon is not represented in my country, I have shit, and I don't think the codes will work. Just so you don't actually go out and buy a code expecting it to work in your country because it might be cheaper. It will not work. The store is probably locked. I know for a fact that they region log it pretty well, especially on the PlayStation 3. That I actually bought a game over in the UK physically and there was some DLC with it. The problem is I couldn't actually activate the DLC without having a UK account, because a UK account is it's not Europe. It's divided into specific countries, which is totally fucking insane in my opinion. And so I actually had to make a UK account to get my key, the stuff that I bought. But the problem is that, well, since and you can play the game. Games are not region locked, but DLC might be, because the game itself will register as a UK edition. So other DLC, if you buy, for instance, let's say you buy a game, a PlayStation free game in the UK, come home from Germany where you live, or Denmark, or whatever, and you plug it in, you play it, you make a UK account to get the DLC, switch back to your Danish account or whatever your standard account is, and you play, and everything works great. Then maybe there might be some new DLC you want. So now you're in a dilemma. The problem is that the DLC might, and I say might, be region locked, because the DLC would not register that you actually have the right version of the game. So if you buy it on your store, your country store, and you have a UK game, it will not register to get the DLC. So you will have to buy in the UK store. The problem is with the UK store, it will probably not register your credit card or shit, and you will have to buy points there. It's a fucking hassle, and I recommend that making sure that if you want to buy an external game, you make sure, specifically from this problem was with Infamous. So first-party PlayStation titles might have this issue here where they region lock it, the DLC, not the game itself. I don't know. I've never understood the region logging, especially since the disc itself is non-region. It's not region locked. You can buy a PlayStation free game, play it everywhere, but they do it with the DLC, and I don't know why. The money goes the same place no matter what. It's just conversion. So I don't understand that. But the whole issue here is that it's something you have to look out for. Where was I actually going with this? But anyways, the whole issue here is that the store is different from place to place. Digital content might be a problem for some things. So I've never been a big fan of it, especially on a PlayStation store, because the PlayStation store is so different from my country, which is, I think, 4 or 5 countries in bundled, and to the UK, which is their own country store. Then we have Germany, has also its own country. I think a couple of things are bundled into that. Then you have the US. If you actually have an account, I have a Danish account, I have a UK account, I have an American account. So I can actually access all 3 stores. They are different. And I'm talking different in look, in what you can search for, and what the content is. It's the fucking same console, 3 different stores because of 3 different countries. To me, that's insane. Steam doesn't do that. Steam does that with differential payment. Over here, we pay in Europe, in euro. In the UK, they pay in pound. In the US, they pay in dollars. Canadian dollars. So I can understand it, but the content, the way the store looks, all that is totally different. For instance, if I go to the American place, the search functions are so much better, so much more granular. It's easier to find things. Over here, if I go into a PlayStation store, nothing has changed since launch. It's still the same crap. Marketing, Killzone, Knack, and everything else. There's nothing like the new updates are there. It's harder to find things, and that's been an issue since the PlayStation 3, and that's because its region, from what I know, it's divided into 3 regions. There's the UK or North America region, which pretty much America, South America, and all that is that one region. Then you have Asia, and then you have the Europe version, the Europe people, which have granularly divided the store in more countries over here. Same people. They are totally fucking it up. I've seen weekly complaints about content missing, people can't access stuff. I know that might be a hassle of a standard, but it's just like, I don't understand why. Who the fuck is actually running this crap here? Because over here in Europe, we just like, why? It's the same company. And I understand that you have to. It's probably like saying many people that, well, you have a Europe department and you have like a American department or U.S. department, and they have their own budget, their own marketing, their own people. They need to pay stuff, and I understand that. But why the fuck don't they move it together instead? It's just like, especially content, somebody has to manage the content. I know that some content can't be available in one place now, but it has to have the same look, the same feel, the same search functions. I don't get that. That has to be the same. It has to have the same look. That's branding. It's not like, well, if you're from UK, you see one thing, and then you see something on the else. Yeah, you see different content, but you don't see different, like, the web page is different. You can't access everything because it might be region locked. Okay, but let me at least get the fucking search engines. So this has been a pain in so many things, and it's worse and worse because you think, like, for instance, US gets their updates on Tuesday. We get it on Wednesday, a day after. We get different content. The worst thing is that some things are priced differently. And I say priced differently, not like it's like $10 here and €10 here. I've seen, for instance, one of the Ratchet and Clank HD remix. The last one, the last game. And you can get a bundle and then there's a game for itself. It's priced $10 at the US. €15 over here. That's almost 100% more if you convert it. That's double the price. That's insane. I don't understand why. I can understand $10, €10, but $10, €15. That's just like, what the fuck? It's the same with the launch that with the PlayStation 4, where like there was like £5 difference in US and UK. It's just like, why? I understand that you say 60, but it's not a 65. Don't make like you're trying to money greedy bastard, being some greedy bastard. It's just insane. But this is not. I don't think going fully digitally, especially with the region restrictions, and there's no guarantee for so many things. It's still like you when you buy something digitally, you buy a license. That's from my perspective. You buy a license for the game. You also buy a license when you buy the game in a disc. It's only a license, but the difference is if they shut down and you don't have the download, you cannot get access to your stuff. The thing is, if a company shuts down, for instance, let's say Sony closes up, saying like, first the PlayStation 3 network is going to be shut down in 5 years, 10 years maybe. Where's your content? Well, it's gone. If you want, like in 15 years, 10 years after that's done, actually want to play some of the stuff that you had digitally, it's gone. There are some things there you need to consider. That's why I still think having a disc might be the right answer. Not for every case. I'm talking about the games that you really want to play. Really want to play like in 10 years. The things that you're just like, well, I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this again. If you're just trading and all that, doesn't really matter. It has been suggested, rumors or whatever you would call it, that there might be, at least Steam has that option to actually trade, sell digital content that you already bought. Steam is probably the biggest issue here. What will happen if Steam closed down? Everything would be gone. I don't say it's going to happen, but it's just a thought of what digital content and ownership is. It's a license. You have a license, they can take it from you. There's no. If you read probably the ULA, the end user license agreement, which stands for, it will say that they have total control of the content. That means that they can distribute it for you. They will update it. You can't do shit. You can't. Steam, for instance, if you say like, I want to play the version 1.5 instead of 1.1, you can't do that. If you delete it and download, it's forced update. So there are some things that are not perfect in this world. It's just a thought that there are some restrictions, and you lose control over digital content. Personally, I'm a fan of Steam, love it, but that's just, I don't think, especially with the people running Steam, they are not interested in taking stuff away. They want to give you more. They actually want to give you so much that they are actually giving you so much creative freedom. Just like, here's an engine, do what you want, and actually sell your content that you make on our store and profit from it. So I'm not saying that Steam is going to go ahead and do this, but look at other stuff. Look, for instance, like, let's say that EA turns the key on Origin. Well, I have Mass Effect on Origin. I bought it because it was cheaper that way. Wouldn't have access to it anymore. That's gone. And I know a lot of people had that because it was like, well, you bought it and it's on Origin. The only way you can get access to the DLC is on Origin. So there's a lot of things that I think that have an effect on that. But enough about that. That's just the PlayStation Store. And since we're talking about PlayStation, let's talk a little bit about the Xbox. I have some sad news or sad rumors as of this. Let me see if I can find it here. There are rumors so far saying that the Xbox One, people who've been waiting for that, just FYI people, the Xbox has not launched in every country. It has not launched in several countries, at least, in Europe. And that's because Europe was deprioritized compared to the US, pretty much, and some other countries. So, I, for instance, cannot go out and buy an Xbox One. It is not launched yet in my country. And this morning, I actually found out, or I read at a Game Reactor site, a European site that I sometimes go to check stuff out, that it might be delayed to third quarter of 2014. That is a big loss for Xbox or Microsoft, because that means it's pretty much the end of the year, or at least the start of it's after summer, for crying out loud. PlayStation will have a huge advantage over here, at least. And the reason is, from what I've said, and I'm reading this out loud, as you may recall, Microsoft announced that the delay of the Xbox One's launch in the 8 territories back in August. Since then, there has been no word when these countries, and Russia, Belgium, Netherlands, Switzerland, Sweden, Finland, Norway, and Denmark, would be getting their official launch, but Game Reactor has now learned from a trusted source, trust my ass, you can't really expect anything, it's a rumor, I say, that the same ones that told the original delay before it became official, that they would not be in for a longer wait than expected. In fact, we're told that the Xbox One won't launch in the Nordic until the third quarter of 2014. Given a launch in July or the first half of August is unlikely, these countries are looking for a 9 to 10 month delay compared to the original November launch this year in the other territories. We have no confirmation from either of these four countries mentioned above. Looking at a small launch date for the Nordic Orbit claimed and unclear that it could mean to the other territories. Japan comes to mind. The delay may mean Microsoft either struggling with supply or localization is providing massive challenges. And just so you understand the localization, the problem is with the Xbox, and this is not just the Xbox One, it's the Xbox in general, I'm talking 360 also, is that since the launch of Kinect, since the launch of the Xbox, there has been many restrictions what you actually can do with it. And I'm talking about region restrictions. Again, sorry about that, but it's a common concern that over in the US, people think the Xbox is really great. The problem is over here, from a consumer perspective at least, and I'm talking about not just games. The Xbox has plenty of games, great and not so great. It has great online functionality, but that's pretty much it. The problem is that so many things like TV streaming, voice commands do not work in non-English talking countries because the language for most countries, and you've seen this on Google Translate, is almost impossible to master as a voice command. Google hasn't done it yet in Danish or Russian or anything else. It sucks. For crying out loud, in the US I've heard that people from some of the southern countries have trouble with their Xbox talking to it and actually doing the voice commands. It's not perfect at all. That's why if you have set your territory on your Xbox 360 for Danish, Swedish, whatever, it will not give you access to the voice commands. Even if you talk perfect English and the voice commands actually work, it actually just shuts it off. You will not get access to it. The trick is to let the Xbox think you are in another country. That's what I'm talking about, localization. They're probably doing the same thing, probably trying to make the UI more friendly to the other countries, maybe actually translating it, and that might be it. They do a great job in translating Windows 8 and all that, and that's all fine, but I don't understand why they do it with a console. My console, my PlayStation 3, my PlayStation 4, English. I do not want to read fucking Danish on my console. That's just who I am. For crying out loud, my operation system are in English. I work in English. I talk almost fluent English. I don't understand why. Since we over here are from 4th or 5th grade, I can't remember, it's been so long since I've been back to school, but since young, we actually have the second language is English. The first choice of language can either be French or German. And pretty much 99.9% choose German because it's our next door neighbors, other than, of course, the Swedish people. Swedish is pretty easy to understand. Writing is another thing. For me, it's all crap. I'm not the great. If a Swedish person talks to me in Swedish, I'm not sure I can understand the whole dialogue. But anyways, that's another thing. But if that's the problem, I would say fuck the localization. Launch the console in English. I think, in all fairness, it's an American product. Let it at least be well, we will launch it at whatever localization we can, and let the people choose it. But I think that the problem is probably most people over here, because of the Xbox 360, have been accustomed to the language thing. So I don't know. To me, it's shooting yourself in the foot. PlayStation, it has it, came with it. The voice commands are not turned off from what I've figured out. I don't have the camera yet, and I'm not sure I'm going to buy it because it's fucking expensive over here. Might get it, and that's just for the Twitch and the recording thing, because you cannot use the normal PlayStation 3 camera on this. But again, almost a year's delay might be a case, and there has been no official date yet. So people are pissed over here, and I'm betting that people who actually want all the games, I'm pretty sure Titanfall over here will be played on PC and the Xbox 360 instead. When the Xbox One launches, nobody's going to really care about it, because people who already want to get on the next gen will probably already have a PlayStation 4, and it will probably cost even less because of the revision that might already have happened, or at least they can cut price over here with $100 again if they choose to, and it would be even cheaper than the different. Already here is costing a shitload here. I think it's almost 500 crowns. That's almost $100 here. If they cut a 500 again with a bundle, or bundle even more stuff in for the same price, why would you buy an Xbox One? But delaying it is not a good thing for Microsoft, at least. But I don't think they care. They don't care about Japan. Sony hasn't launched in Japan either, and that's because it's a guaranteed win on their side. Nobody, it's their home country, for crying out loud, where they make it. No, just look at the sales numbers over in the Xbox from Xbox. They can't expect any competition over there, or actually win it. That's why I don't think they're interested. They are taking the market by a storm in the US, and they've done a great job so far. Of the country it's launched in, UK is probably one of them. They've sold 2 million, and I think it's 2.5 for PlayStation now. So Sony in the lead, and of course they're in the lead. That was to be expected, at least because of the price difference. It's just, I don't understand that. But other than that, I think it's pretty much a boring concept. If you look at what games there are on the platforms, there are few games, like 2 or 3 games you can get from which are first party launches. I think PlayStation has the stronger launch because Killzone and Knack are definitely more competitive. You can get Call of Duty, Ghost, and Assassin's Creed on both consoles, so that really doesn't matter. Rise of Rome looks interesting. I still think it looks like a crappy Dragon Slayer game. And if you don't know what Dragon Slayer, Google it. But from what I've heard, they've changed this to be a more hack and slash game. But it's just from the... I laughed my ass off when I saw the introduction to that game. It was just like slow mode, quick time events, just horrible. Quick news: The Hobbit Lego is coming out. We don't know. If you haven't seen the movie, I actually suggest you go and watch the second one. It's actually better in HFR quality, ultra high, 3D, high def, whatever it's called. People were annoyed about it last time. I definitely recommend going in. It's actually better. They've improved a lot on the 3D. It's actually a really, really great movie. SteamOS is available for download now. So if you are thinking about actually trying it out, you can do that. One thing I will say is that the Steam box, in my opinion, is not something I will ever buy, because I have a high-end PC for reasons of gaming and other stuff. So buying a $600 console, which I'm guessing it will cost, I was actually hoping, since Valve announced that the box will actually stream from your high-end PC, because not all games are available for the Steam OS box. I was hoping that they would actually go ahead and make a small box as a accessory to people who already have a high-end gaming PC that only streams. And from the looks of it, from the free configuration that have been out there for testing, it looks like pretty much a high-end PC. And I'm not against that. It's just like, to me, most people who have Steam already have a high-end PC, or most of them have a high-end graphics card, and they are builders at some point. It's hard. It's easier if you have a build. It's going to be harder. I don't think it's going to be modular. Actually, switching. I can understand they probably could be able. You can upgrade the RAM and all that, but I don't think you can upgrade the CPU. And that, for me, I can upgrade the CPU and motherboard in 5 minutes. Including RAM. So that is definitely a big difference depending on actually going out. You will it will be console prices for Steam OS box. So you really have to actually go out and buy a new box every time you want to upgrade it. And from the massive amount of games that come out, Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, Grand Theft Auto, XCOM, Portal, you name it, Wasteland. Some of the games are more and more demanding. I actually remember still when Watchdog came out, I could run it at high definition. I'm talking about the ultra high definition texture, because it was just dragging my computer down. I was actually getting under 25 frame rates, and that's if you get under that, that's where your eye starts to notice a lag. I definitely recommend you can get 60 at least, 60, but then you will get a faster actually experience, because it will actually be as fast or faster than your eye. But 30 for 25 and up is plenty for a decent game. That says a lot, that a simple upgrade with a couple $100 is easier than going out and spending $500 on a new box. So there are some things to consider when doing that box. But I think it will probably sell, especially if they bundle in. And the controller looks kind of neat. I think it's an interesting perspective on it. But let's see here. Anything else? New releases. I don't know. There's probably not going to be anything from what I can see. VGX awards have been there, and of course, Grand Theft Auto 1. Who the hell would have thought everything else? So yeah. But that's pretty much it for this time, and hope you enjoyed this episode. And again, if you really want to contact me, the best way is to do it through Twitter. Tweet at Fettouhi, that's at FETTOUHI, and let me know what you think about the episode, or ask me questions. I answer pretty promptly when I actually see the tweet, and I check my Twitter often, but it's just like with most listeners and all that being in another time zone, you might expect a little delay, just FYI. So yeah, until then, bye.